Welcome to Love Lies Horizons. I'm your host, a man who's seen the highs and lows of love and life over the past 4 decades. With wealth and experience on my side, I've learned that not everyone deserves your trust or your heart. Join me as we explore the depths of human relationships, where love isn't always as it seems, and betrayal can come from the most unexpected places. Welcome to Love Lies Nature, where every story has a lesson, and every lesson has the power to change your perspective on love and trust. I initially encountered Jessica during my college years. At that time, she had a robust build, large glasses, and struggled with skin issues. Her major was in art, and her fashion sense was unconventional, reflecting her unique style. Regrettably, her distinctive flair didn't resonate as attractive or appealing to most guys, myself included. Despite pursuing different majors, she in art and myself in production technology, we found ourselves enrolled in the same computer graphics design classes due to shared program requirements. She needed the class for her diploma, while I required it as a prerequisite for AutoCAD. Assigned to collaborate on a group project, we realized we hadn't interacted much before despite sharing some classes. Right from the outset, it was evident we were almost polar opposites. While I frequented the track and hovered around the popular crowd, Jessica smoked and gravitated towards the fringe of the avant-garde, the beatniks, and the artistic circles. My dating circle mainly consisted of level 2 cheerleaders and jocks, whereas Jessica was often relegated to the role of the larger friend or the second-choice girlfriend among the more conventionally beautiful or promiscuous art students. While working on our project, we found ourselves spending a considerable amount of time together. Human nature compelled me to glance at her, prompting her, I assume, to reciprocate. One evening, our conversation extended beyond project matters and delved into more personal topics. When my next girlfriend arrived to pick me up, I felt a twinge of sadness at leaving Jessica, and it seemed she felt similarly. The following day in computer class, Jessica exhibited a frosty demeanor towards me. "What did I do now?" I inquired. "You're an absolute idiot," she retorted, her voice verging on tears. Sensing the need for privacy, I took her hand and ushered her out of the lab to a nearby park bench. After fetching refreshments, we resumed our discussion in a more comfortable setting, free from any potential disruptions. "Why do you think I'm a prick?" I queried with a smile. "Because you are," she replied, wiping away tears. "Despite lacking an artistic soul, I had hoped you were different," she added. As our conversation progressed, I reflected on her words. "And then you with that woman," she interjected. "Are you upset I went on a date?" I asked incredulously. "No way," she snapped. "It's just that you're all the same. You're not interested in a meaningful connection with a woman who genuinely cares for you and loves you. You just want superficial relations with some buxom girl without intelligence," she remarked sharply. "Well," I responded calmly, "well-endowed women have the intelligence to leverage their assets, whether in dating relationships or simply in matters of closeness." She regarded me skeptically and inquired, "What exactly are you implying?" Irritated, I retorted, "They communicate. They take actions to express their interest to the guy." She remained speechless, her fists clenched in frustration, visibly seething with anger. It seemed as if steam would soon billow from her ears, prompting me to seek clarity and understand where we stood. With a decisive gesture, I reached over and removed her cumbersome glasses, recognizing they obstructed her beauty. Then I kissed her not a mere peck, but a fervent, passionate embrace. Later, I learned it was her first kiss with a non-relative. That initial kiss led to more carnal ones as she relaxed, parting her lips, and our tongues intertwined in a sensual dance. Embracing her tightly, we shared lingering kisses on a park bench. The ensuing weeks were a whirlwind of activity. We completed our project, earning an A, and embarked on a romantic relationship. Jessica opted for contact lenses, visited a dermatologist, and adopted a slightly more conventional wardrobe. I never requested she abandon her bohemian style, but as our outings became more frequent, she required additional attire. You know how women are. She invited me to accompany her on a shopping trip and sought my opinion. I noted that jeans were a popular choice even among artists. However, she expressed feeling too large for pants. I reassured her, praising her curves and likening her to the voluptuous models depicted by the artist Rubens. Encouraged, she purchased jeans and looked fantastic in them. Yet, I suggested her tops and sweatshirts didn't quite complement her jeans or skirts. She accused me of only being interested in her chest. I jokingly admitted she was right, but emphasized they were mine, and she wore them for my benefit. Being carnal with Jessica felt akin to being with a fairy tale princess. Though not wild, it held a special quality. As her first partner, I endeavored to make it enjoyable and memorable for her. Over time, her interest in closeness grew, and she even began to request it. While we never delved into extreme kinks, I cherished every moment because of my deep love for her. Some weeks later, she gazed at her reflection and remarked, feeling like a larger version of the type of woman she despised. I reassured her, affirming she was my girlfriend regardless of appearances. We found immense happiness together and eventually became engaged. Following graduation, I pursued a career at an automotive design firm, while Jessica found her calling doing layouts for an art magazine. My family adored Jessica and embraced her warmly. On the other hand, Jessica's family was limited to her mom and sister. To say the least, I didn't particularly care for them. Once, at our engagement celebration, I overheard her sister suggesting to someone that I was too conventional and might stifle Jessica's artistic vision. Despite Jessica appearing radiant and joyous, her mom whispered to her sister that she believed our marriage was due to a pregnancy and wouldn't last. However, over time, we proved them both wrong. We were deeply content and genuinely loved each other. At our 7th anniversary gathering, her mom began hinting about becoming a grandmother since Jessica and I were her only hope for grandchildren, as her sister was unable. Jessica quickly assured her we were trying. Despite our efforts over several years, we faced disappointment. Jessica's mom, Margaret, took it upon herself to schedule us appointments at a fertility clinic, seemingly presuming the issue was with me. I attended the appointment, underwent tests, and provided samples, only to discover everything was normal on my end. Margaret, upon hearing the news, humorously suggested we practice more until our work was finished so she could become a grandmother while still young. However, Jessica's results painted a different picture, altering our lives indefinitely. We learned she had various reproductive health issues, making conceiving naturally extremely unlikely, if not improbable. That evening, I held her tightly as she wept herself to sleep. I reassured her that adoption or exploring available treatments were viable options for us. Deep down, I harbored resentment towards her mother for escalating the situation to such an extent. Tearfully, she told me, "If you want a divorce, you can have it. I'll never leave you unless you push me away." Addressing Jessica, I relayed her mother's accusation that she might cheat on me to conceive. "I'll never betray you, Jess. You mean everything to me," I assured her. Meeting her gaze, she questioned, "Why stay with a woman who's unable to have children?" Ensuring she caught every nuance of my sincerity, I replied, "Because I love you more than anything in this world, and losing you would devastate me." She seemed to calm down a bit and eventually drifted off to sleep. But honestly, those days are now a blur, and I struggle to recall all the details. 2 days later, we received a call from the clinic summoning us for an appointment. During the consultation, the doctor revealed she had referred Jessica's tests to a specialist. Our shock intensified upon discovering Jessica was battling an aggressive form of cancer in its early stages. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. This explained her constant fatigue at 25, the unexplained body soreness, and frequent mood swings and irritability. The revelation terrified me. Fortunately, we caught it early enough to have a favorable prognosis for her recovery. The doctor directed us to a specialized oncology center and arranged an appointment for the following day. Jessica underwent an extensive battery of tests, marking the beginning of her challenging journey. I took a leave of absence and remained by Jessica's side throughout her ordeal. I stayed beside her during every test, offering support and encouragement as we awaited results. In the following weeks, Jessica underwent lymph node surgery and commenced radiation therapy. I occupied the family suite at the cancer center to be close to her. I greeted her each morning, stayed by her side all day, and even obtained permission to stay overnight until she drifted off to sleep. Occasionally, her mother and sister visited, displaying a chilly demeanor towards me, perhaps harboring the misguided notion that I was somehow responsible for Jessica's illness. However, the radiation therapy proved ineffective and began injuring healthy tissue alongside the tumors. Consequently, we opted for chemotherapy. Jessica experienced significant weight loss due to radiation, and chemotherapy threatened to cause hair loss. The hospital nurses were incredibly supportive, often going beyond their duties to assist me in caring for Jessica. One nurse, Emily, was particularly invaluable. With her striking red hair, green eyes, and tall, slender frame, she exuded warmth and kindness. Each morning, Emily greeted me with a smile or a joke, offering a comforting embrace or a listening ear whenever I needed it most, helping me maintain a positive outlook. The majority of nurses in the oncology unit had shifts lasting 4 10-hour days with 3 days off. However, Emily worked from 10 p.m. to 8 m. She was present when I left Jessica at night and also when I returned at 6 m. the next day. In my experience, she was consistently cheerful, particularly in my presence. The only instance I recall her becoming upset was during a conversation with Jessica's mother, Margaret. Margaret remarked that I might likely leave her daughter now that she was sick. Emily reacted fiercely, threatening to physically intervene. "This environment is utterly disheartening," Emily expressed. "A large number of our patients receive minimal visitors as their loved ones are hesitant to visit due to concerns of contagion," she elaborated. She emphasized surge of anticipation. The modest party was intended to ignite the romantic spark with Jessica anew. As I paid closer attention to our interactions in recent days, I noticed her growing distance and increased drink consumption. As I eventually drifted off to sleep, she had yet to return. Upon awakening, she was already asleep beside me, smiling as she rolled over. Despite knowing she was likely out drinking and partying, it was quintessentially Jessica. Initially averse to parties when we first met, she now sought to explore experiences she had once shunned, perhaps as a celebration of her triumph over cancer, while I simply wished for her to celebrate alongside me. I couldn't shake the feeling of my own selfishness. At 6:30, Jessica's mother, Margaret, arrived with her second daughter, Robin. They swiftly began decorating the house, aware that Jessica could arrive at any moment. Only 6 individuals were invited, as I aimed for a cozy gathering with close friends. By 9 p.m., guests were already wondering about Jessica's absence, prompting some to leave their gifts and depart. By 11 p.m., only Margaret, Robin, and I remained. I made a 4th attempt to reach Jessica on her cell phone. She returned the call half an hour later. "Hey, love, I'll be heading home soon." Jessica's voice sounded breathless and intoxicated. "Where are you?" I inquired. Mom suggested grabbing a drink, and I opted to join her rather than returning home. "We lost track of time," she explained. "I ended up tagging along with her and my disagreeable sister because they still harbor some dislike toward you, and I didn't want their negativity to spoil whatever surprise you had planned," she added. In the background, a male voice urged her to return promptly for some fun. "We'll reunite soon, and you can unveil your surprise," she reassured. "Is it a big surprise?" she queried. "Somewhat," I responded softly. For a while, silence lingered. Then Margaret turned her gaze toward me, noticing my struggle to hold back tears. I felt stunned as if my world had crumbled, unsure of how to react. "That's not entirely accurate," Margaret began. "Initially, I may have had doubts about your suitability for Jessica, but my perspective has shifted," she continued. "What a nerve," Robin interjected. "Thank you both for coming," I said, composing myself. "I'll tidy up and stow away Jessica's gifts. She'll likely return soon. You're welcome to stay, though I'm not sure witnessing her homecoming will serve any purpose," I added. "Why not?" Robin inquired. "As her sister, I'd relish seeing her reaction when she's confronted with her lie." "She endured a harrowing battle with cancer," I explained. "We don't fully understand its impact. All we can do is support her and hope for the best," I concluded softly. Margot and Robin departed, shaking their heads. I gathered clothes and personal items from the closet, swiftly packing to minimize return trips, leaving a note for Jessica on the kitchen table. I ensured I had everything I needed to stay away for a while. The following day, I began seeking a divorce lawyer during work breaks, perusing online ads without making any calls. My colleagues assumed I was battling a cold or flu as I maintained a distant demeanor. Despite Jessica's attempts to contact me, I remained unresponsive, adhering to this routine for 3 consecutive days: work, return to the motel room, sleep, and repeat. On the 3rd day, Emily perched on the hood of my car as I exited the building, her eyes brimming with tears, leaving me perplexed. "Why didn't you call me?" she demanded, her voice edged with frustration. I remained silent, meeting her gaze, and the emotional barrier I'd constructed shattered, tears streaming down my face. "Everything you warned me about turned out to be true," I confessed softly. Emily leaped off the car, enveloping me in a hug. Despite my turmoil, I couldn't ignore the inappropriate surge of arousal as her chest pressed against mine. I never intended to cause you pain. If you can, please forgive me, she pleaded. Meanwhile, Jessica surveyed her cluttered apartment, her head throbbing with pain. What day is it? She groaned. Dave needs to tidy up this mess when he gets back. Why isn't he home yet? Who's knocking? Rising from her seat, she limped undressed to the door, peering through the peephole. Phew, it's just Mom, she muttered, hastily donning a robe and opening the door. Sorry for the chaos. Mom, she apologized. Dave seems to vanish into thin air at work, she added. Jessica, where were you? What were you up to? Margaret inquired, her tone accusatory. Or judging by your appearance, who were you engaging in illicit activities with? She continued. Mom, what on earth are you talking about? Jessica snapped. Jessica, why do you have hickeys on your neck? Margaret pressed. Oh, darn it. Dave better not see this, Jessica muttered. Mom, could you fetch me some coffee? My head is pounding, she requested. Reluctantly, Margaret retreated to the kitchen to prepare coffee. So how did you cover up your deception that night? Margaret inquired. What deception, Mom? Questioned Jessica. The falsehoods you told your husband on your birthday, Margaret clarified. Jessica, when you claimed you were with me and your sister, we were right here beside him at that moment, Margaret reminded her. Jessica's eyes widened. I need to think of something to say before he returns, she realized. You have to help me devise a plan, Mom. Why should I? Margaret challenged. Mom, I acknowledge that I made some mistakes, Jessica admitted, but it was all just for fun. I wanted to experience things I never could when I was younger, she explained. Back then, I was overweight, always the chubby friend, never the desired one, she recounted. Then I met Dave, and everything changed, she continued. I grew more confident. I started dressing better because, to him, I was the attractive one. But to him, I was simply an attractive woman solely because he loves me. But now that I've shed the weight, I'm attracting the attention of more guys, which is invigorating, she confessed. Now I can flirt with them a bit and discard them whenever I please. Now I have options, and it's exhilarating, she admitted. It's not serious. I would never actually leave Dave because I love him. I'm just having a bit of fun, she assured. But you yourself said, Mom, that he's average and dull, and Dave will never find out anyway, she reasoned. He's always working anyway, she added. He should join the game. Otherwise, he risks losing me. Just like now. He ought to be home by now, she concluded. That's probably accurate, Margaret murmured softly. She approached Jessica and handed her the note discovered in the kitchen. Dear Jessica, I'm genuinely happy to see you enjoying yourself. After what you've endured, you deserve it. Beating cancer is a feat few achieve, but you entered the battle and emerged victorious. You didn't just overcome it, you annihilated it. In fact, you've emerged as an even stronger, more radiant individual than before. Right from the start, I recognized your uniqueness and fell deeply in love with you. Now you possess the confidence to step out and reveal to the world just how extraordinary you are and how immense your heart is. You deserve that too. Now I comprehend that there's simply no place for me in your life or your heart. After all, you won my heart long ago, and you deserve to continue moving forward. I hope you receive this note tonight and reach out so we can discuss our next steps. If there are any, if I don't hear from you tonight, I'll assume the worst and proceed with filing for divorce to grant you freedom from me. You can keep the apartment because I still won't be able to return there. There are too many memories. I simply hope your next partner is more deserving of you than I am. I gave it my all, did everything I could for you. Obviously, I fell short somewhere, and you deserve better. I'll always cherish you. Dave. After reading the letter, Jessica collapsed on the floor, sobbing. Margaret glanced at her daughter and reflected. What a foolish daughter I've raised. Across town, Emily escorted Dave to her home. She circled the car, opening the door, and gently tugged his limp arms to help him out. Guiding him to her door, she ushered him inside and settled him onto the sofa. She initiated a conversation with him, recognizing that he had been operating on autopilot for days, merely going through the motions. But now he had hit rock bottom. Despite his outward appearance, she believed he possessed much greater strength than he realized. I'm going to assist him in breaking free from this deceitful woman, Emily understood. Now wasn't the time to disclose any remaining details about Jessica to him. A detective agency had been monitoring Dave and Jessica for the past week. She knew the precise date and time he had left her, but decided to allow him a few days before confronting him. Jessica had engaged in far more than Dave was aware of, and Emily wasn't certain if his delicate mental state could withstand it. Leaving Dave seated on the couch, she changed into more comfortable attire and prepared dinner, consisting of steaks and salad. While she enjoyed her meal, Dave pushed his food around his plate contemplatively. Throughout the entire meal, neither of them uttered a single word. After dinner, Emily deliberately turned off Dave's cell phone, ensuring there were no messages. Yet this indicated that Jessica was still too intoxicated to realize his absence, which was a positive sign. Emily then called the hospital, informing them she would be absent for personal reasons and encouraged Dave to do the same. Despite Dave's reluctance due to financial obligations, Emily insisted, and eventually he agreed to take 2 days off. Emily provided him with a blanket and settled him on the couch, embracing him like a child and planting a kiss on his forehead. "If you need me, I'm here," she assured him, gesturing toward her bedroom upstairs. Emily carefully and gradually assisted Dave. They retrieved his belongings from the hotel and purchased what he needed. At Emily's urging, they relocated his possessions to a guest room in her home. She encouraged him to speak, initially coaxing out only a few words, but soon engaging in earnest conversation. However, the topic of Jessica remained untouched. As their 2-day respite concluded and both had to resume work, she returned his cell phone to him. Observing silently, she watched as he sifted through his messages. Despite over 100 calls from Jessica, he deleted them all without listening, his jaw clenched, indicating a newfound resolve. She believed he would eventually be all right. Upon returning to work, Dave felt somewhat improved, though his senses remained unsettled. Some co-workers had noticed Emily picking him up recently, sparking a wave of gossip. "So, Dave, who was behind the wheel of that red Mustang?" queried his friend Steve. "Dave's got a supermodel by his side," another colleague chimed in. Dave grinned but stayed silent. Undoubtedly, Emily possessed striking beauty, perhaps even surpassing Jessica's. Did he genuinely believe that? Dave's cheerful demeanor softened when someone insinuated he was having an affair with a mysterious redhead. Oblivious to Jessica's infidelity, all seemed well until it was time to depart for home. A security guard barged into Dave's office, urgently summoning him to the parking lot. Dave feared his car had been damaged. He was unprepared for the chaos that awaited. Shrill cries pierced the air before he reached the lot. "What the hell are you doing on my husband's car, you homewrecker?" Jessica's voice echoed. "You abandoned him with your disappearing act," Emily retorted sharply. "What are you even talking about?" Jessica shot back. "You vanished into drinks and betrayed him," Emily spat. Guards intervened to keep the women apart, but a crowd had already gathered. Dave approached Emily, guiding her to the Mustang. He quietly instructed her to head home and assured her he would follow shortly. Then he directed the guards to detain Jessica for at least 10 minutes before driving off after Emily. As he departed, Dave witnessed Jessica's anguished cry of surprise. Despite his deepening love for her, anger now welled within him. "Dave, we need to talk," her voice echoed. "We'll figure it out. You still care for me. I can see it," she insisted. Regrettably, she wasn't entirely wrong. With tears streaming down his face, Dave walked away. Later, at Emily's residence, Dave was prepared to confront the situation. "What's your plan, Dave?" Emily inquired. "I suppose I need clarity about my marriage," Dave responded. "Are you certain you want to know?" Emily questioned. "Absolutely," Dave affirmed. "I'm not so sure," Emily admitted. Retrieving a large envelope from her office, she placed it on the table. "Everything you need is in here, but I urge you not to open it," she cautioned. "What's inside?" Dave inquired. "When I first came to you about her, you said I lacked proof," Emily recounted, "and you were correct. Despite what I witnessed, I struggled to accept it, just like when it happened to me," Emily confessed. "Anticipating your need for evidence, I arranged for a private investigator to tail her. Fortunately, my cousin owed me a favor, so it didn't cost me a dime. I've stitched it up several times. There's a stack of photos, audio clips, receipts, reports, and even footage. But trust me, if there's any love left for her in your heart, you're better off not seeing this," Emily advised. "By now, you understand the evidence is concrete, confirming her breach of marital vows. Yet viewing it will only inflict more pain," she cautioned. "Once you witness it firsthand, it'll haunt you for a long, long while," she added. "You're starting to grasp this. I know it'll take time to move on from her, but you're beginning to see reason," she said optimistically. "This file can only drag you back. However, do what you deem necessary," she concluded. "What should we have for dinner?" Emily inquired, heading toward the kitchen. Dave reached for the folder and extracted the initial photo, a clear depiction of Jessica lying on a table in what seemed to be a bar, her dress hitched up to her waist. Up to this point, there were at least 3 men. Dave found his split from Jessica excruciating, yet the photograph dealt a devastating blow. He struggled to focus or even breathe. Returning the photo to its folder and hurling it across the room, he collapsed onto Emily's couch, shutting his eyes, feeling her embrace. For the remainder of the night, they sat in silence. The following morning, claiming illness, they visited a divorce attorney Emily recommended. "I'll aim to expedite this with minimal pain," assured Sherry, Dave's new attorney. "You lack children and own scarce assets, except for medical expenses." "I'll cover those," Dave offered. "Why?" inquired Sherry. "Given your substantial debt due to her," she elaborated, "and her repayment, acting in such a manner, well, you know," she added. "Regardless, this should be straightforward. If she contests, we'll threaten to expose the file," Sherry proposed. "The paperwork will be ready within days." Over the ensuing days, the situation deteriorated rapidly. Jessica received the divorce papers and promptly tore them apart. Not only did she refuse to sign or even read them, but she also declined to seek legal counsel. She informed Sherry that she would vehemently contest the divorce and vowed it would never happen. Instead, she proposed a legal separation, suggesting that after a year of mutual agreement, divorce proceedings could commence. In return, she requested marriage counseling and implored Dave to return home to salvage their relationship, threatening to cite infidelity as grounds for divorce, which could tarnish Jessica's reputation if evidence surfaced. Sherry warned her. Jessica scoffed at the threat, demanding Sherry devise something substantial. "I've made it clear," she snapped. "I'll stop at nothing to prevent this. If you need to go to Rome and inform the Pope that I'm unfaithful, I'll purchase your plane ticket. But no one, especially you or that redhead, will take my husband without a fight," she declared. She also refused to entertain any alternative proposals until she could speak with Dave. "She's being unreasonable," Sherry later remarked to Dave. "In your shoes, I'd attend the meeting. Refusing to communicate with her could reflect poorly in court. 2 days later, Dave found himself face to face with Jessica in Sherry's office. "Why are you doing this to us?" she inquired. "You brought this upon us, Jessica," he replied calmly. "All right, I may have gotten carried away, drank excessively, and neglected you," she admitted. "I understand why you're upset," she acknowledged. "But that doesn't justify throwing away the 10 years we've spent together," she said earnestly. "I love you, Dave. You have to believe me," Jessica pleaded. "You forget that you lied to me, betrayed my trust, and shattered my heart," Dave countered. "You did things I never imagined you capable of. You didn't consider my feelings at all, Jessica," he added. "It was all about you and your gratification." "But Dave, I battled cancer. You can't understand what that's like," she said sadly. "And after overcoming that, I just wanted to experience life for a while," she explained. "After conquering something like that, perspectives and priorities shift," she reasoned. "Jessica, I comprehend your perspective, but you're mistaken," Dave responded. "And now you'll have all the time in the world to explore life to your heart's content. I won't trouble you anymore. You can do whatever you want. You can entertain entire crowds of men every night, and nobody will object," Dave declared as he rose and walked away, prompting Jessica to start yelling after him. "Dave, you can't just abandon me. What do you mean I'm mistaken?" Dave reclined in his chair and gestured for Jessica to join him. "Jessica, you didn't have cancer," Dave stated solemnly. "What?" she started, but Dave raised his hand to silence her. Dave left the room. Jessica remained seated in a chair for an extended period, tears streaming down her face. Outside the lawyer's office, Emily observed Dave's difficult meeting and realized he didn't need further exacerbation of his depression. Clearly distressed, Dave wasn't up for conversation or anything else. Approaching Emily's 2003 Mustang SVT Cobra, she tossed him the keys. Dave cherished this car. Renowned as the Terminator in 23, it held the title of the fastest production Mustang for quite some time. "Drive us home," she said, offering a smile. "Eventually, whether she signs the papers or not, your divorce will proceed." "Can we just take a little ride?" Dave inquired. "No," Emily responded. "We have a lifetime ahead for adventures. Right now, you're hurting, and I need to get some food into you," she insisted. Parking the car in Emily's driveway, they exited and entered her home. Dave stole a final glance at the car. Driving it a bit longer would have been enjoyable. Emily entered the house ahead of him, shedding her coat onto the living room floor. As Dave observed her slow stride across the room, he noticed she had already discarded her coat. Ascending the stairs to her bedroom, Emily removed her blouse while maintaining eye contact, a smile playing on her lips. Step by step, she shed her shoes, then halfway up, her tights, dangling them teasingly. Reaching the top, she dropped her skirt, leaving it behind. Dave marveled at the expanse of her fair skin on display, a realization dawning upon him that he was still alive. After weeks of emotional turmoil, hastily ascending the stairs, he collected his discarded clothes along the way, a reflexive action. Upon reaching the landing, he found Emily waiting, engaged in an enigmatic feminine ritual. Emily unfastened her bra, setting free her chest, which seemed to pulse with anticipation. Dave struggled to draw breath as he gazed at her, his thoughts becoming increasingly difficult to collect. "Come get me," she beckoned, darting down the corridor. Suddenly, Dave grasped the wisdom of the great American press secretary, George Clinton, and his iconic creation, Atomic Dog. "Why should I be like this? Why should I chase a cat?" It all became clear. Dave pursued Emily to her bedroom, finding her poised on the bed. She knelt before him, methodically disrobing him. Each bared body part received her deliberate attention. As their garments accumulated on the floor, anticipation mounted for the carnal connection awaiting them. "Emily, Dave began, but she silenced him with a gesture. While Jessica embodied softness and submission in closeness, Emily unleashed wild passion. She engaged fervently, conveying her complete devotion to Dave. She made it known that she was his, anytime, anywhere, forever. They explored every conceivable pleasure, and ultimately, Emily achieved her objective. She redirected Dave's focus from Jessica and the past to herself and their future. Emily's former husband's infidelity taught her that some men would betray anyone, even a woman as beautiful as herself. Recalling his words when caught for the last time, "A woman, no matter how beautifully she is wrapped, becomes stale after a while, and you need to find a fresh one," Emily promptly ended the relationship. She had longed for someone to cherish her as Dave did Jessica, believing he was the one. With Jessica's loss, Emily seized her opportunity, vowing to treat Dave with the love and respect he deserved. Weeks later, Jessica remained defiant, refusing to sign the papers and plotting to catch Dave with Emily to sabotage his divorce petition. She believed this retaliation would restore balance and reunite them as they should have been. However, she hoped it wouldn't be prolonged, yearning for Dave's presence and feeling unwell herself. Nobody seemed to show concern for her anymore. When Dave returned home, he would lift her spirits, make love to her, and attend to household chores to restore her well-being. Above all, he would reignite her sense of importance. Though it might take time, they would overcome this setback. However, one day, she inadvertently spotted Dave and Emily at a restaurant, observing them through the window. Emily reached across the table, tenderly caressing Dave's cheek. He reciprocated by holding her hand and planting a kiss on it. Dave didn't follow Jessica's anticipated course of action. He didn't engage in a physical relationship with Emily as Jessica had with others. It became evident to Jessica that Dave was deeply enamored with Emily. Realizing what she had forsaken, Jessica unraveled, bursting into the restaurant. She screamed at Emily to stay away from her husband, hurling insults. "You're the one who let him slip away," Emily retorted. "No, I didn't mean to," Jessica insisted. "I was just seeking amusement. I never intended for him to leave me." "You won't win over my husband," Jessica continued to scream. "He would already be mine if you would just sign those papers," Emily replied calmly. "Not in a million years," Jessica screamed again. "I'll stop you first." As onlookers observed, Jessica's complexion drained, and she grew faint, struggling to remain upright. Eventually, she sank to the floor, declaring she felt unwell. Regaining her composure, she exited the restaurant. 3 months later, Dave and Emily tied the knot. True to her word, Jessica never signed the divorce papers. Her cancer resurged, and she was readmitted to the hospital. Despite receiving excellent care, the absence of someone by her side to support her in battling the illness made it unbearable. She lost her will to live, spending her hospital days inquiring about Dave or penning letters to him, pleading for forgiveness or simply asking for a visit. Dave offered to see her if she would agree to sign the papers. This time, the cancer battle was swift and merciless, with Jessica deteriorating rapidly over a month before passing away. Dave and Emily attended her funeral. Dave delivered a poignant eulogy, expressing his deep affection for Jessica and reminiscing about their cherished moments together. He chose not to dwell on their separation, focusing instead on the positive aspects of their relationship. In a touching gesture, he revealed to the handful of relatives in attendance that he and Emily had decided to name their expected child after Jessica. On some evenings, whether lounging by the fireplace or cruising in his 2012 Luna 302 Mustang, Dave came to a realization. Both he and Jessica had been mistaken. Jessica claimed victory over cancer, leading Dave to believe they had conquered the disease together. However, the truth was that Jessica had only recently been diagnosed with cancer. Upon leaving the hospital, she underwent a drastic transformation. She became loud, angry, and destructive, wreaking havoc on everything and everyone around her, including her marriage, her relationship with Dave, and her family. Eventually, when she couldn't achieve her desires, she turned her destructive tendencies inward. As for Dave and Emily, they lived happily ever after. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Emily, true to her promise, treated Dave with the love and respect he deserved. They navigated life's ups and downs together, cherishing every moment. Their love story was not without its trials, but through it all, they remained steadfast in their commitment to one another. Years later, Dave would often reflect on his journey with Jessica. He would think about the love they once shared, the battles they fought, and the lessons he learned. He realized that life is unpredictable, and that love, though sometimes painful, is a powerful force that shapes us in ways we can't always understand. But with Emily by his side, he found peace and happiness, knowing that he had finally found the partner who truly loved and appreciated him for who he was. And so, Dave and Emily's story continued, a testament to the enduring power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. They faced the future with hope and optimism, ready to embrace whatever challenges and joys lay ahead. Together, they created a life filled with love, laughter, and lasting memories. And in the end, that's all that truly mattered. Well, folks, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the content as much as I enjoyed making it. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Drop a comment below with your thoughts and tell me your stories. I'd love to hear them. Cheers, and see you in the next one.